Before we start this video, I just want to say thank you to Christina M., one of my True Believer patrons on Patreon, for requesting this month's request video. If you'd like to know how to request a video, head on over to patreon.com/thebirdman to find out how.
New logo, same epilepsy.
Two sins. First, this is the absolute best Marvel opening logo. And second, epilepsy? Really? This ain't the Porygon episode, yo.
On your left.
Also, does Cap need to run laps to stay in shape? Isn't it that concoction of superhero steroids that keeps him powerful even after 60 years of being in a coma? I guess he could have gotten bored, but damn, go fight crime or something.
Yes, Cap has to work out. Or at least he does work out constantly in the comics. Don't give me that bullshit about books don't matter. It's literally presented in the films that he has to work out, and you're still questioning it.
Don't you say on your left.
The running in the movie started on some bridge crossing the Potomac. How did Steve run the exact same course that Sam was running to lap him 3 times in 3 different locations?
That's kind of the point of the scene. That Cap's ability to run far faster than a normal human allowed him to lap Sam multiple times. I mean, Jesus, it's right there in the scene.
Internet, so helpful.
Except for BuzzFeed. This is a funny list of things that Steve needs to catch up on, but who just randomly told him, check out Steve Jobs of Apple Inc.? What you learn may surprise you.
Was that a serious question? Steve Jobs, the man who was the head of the company that put the Apple II in the home and changed the way we listen to music and communicate forever? That guy? I mean, sure, he could have put Wozniak on there too, but still.
Is he a superhero or is he born? Because in this opening sequence, it's tough to tell the difference.
Well, Jason doesn't have a giant disc on his back, so.
Basic playground taunting is enough to enter Cap into this let's fight without weapons cliche. Also, how the f does Cap have time to learn French when he still hasn't even seen Star Trek?
Dude, Cap fought in World War II. French was damn near prerequisite. Besides, Star Wars is better. Don't at me.
Actually, according to the...
What the f is going on? Is Cap not a super soldier with super strength? Cap went toe-to-toe with f***ing Iron Man in the Avengers, so why are regular human dudes suddenly a match for him?
Jesus Christ. This guy is Batroc the Leaper. I won't bore you with all of his abilities. Psych! Master kickboxer, expert in hand-to-hand combat, peak human level reflexes and agility, Olympic level
Every week some punk would say, what's in the bag? What would he do?
I don't know, Cap. Maybe if you'd let him finish the story, he'd tell you.
Well, if you would let the scene play, you'd realize that they're having a conversation and that Fury paused there, pretty much forcing Steve to ask.
You ever get mugged? Every week some punk would say, what's in the bag? What would he do? He'd show him. Bunch of crumpled ones and a loaded .22 Magnum.
Stark?
He had a few suggestions once he got an up-close look at our old turbines.
Marvel continues to think merely mentioning the other Avengers in these standalone movies will be all the audience needs to stop wondering why the other Avengers aren't actually helping out in this movie's crisis.
When you say audience, you mean you.
Thor is in Asgard dealing with the Dark Elves in the reality gym later in London. Hawkeye is with his family currently. The Hulk would be a terrible teammate for this story, not to mention complete overkill. Tony had just destroyed all his suits after calling a child a pussy and was now being a pussy for Pepper Potts. And Black Widow is in this movie. You could say Tony should be helping, but just like your Spider-Man Homecoming video, you'd be bitching about there being too much Iron Man in your Captain America movie.
Damn! We've now seen enough movies with Chris Evans in them to start saying Chris Evans is on a motorcycle cliche.
This is supposed to be funny, and okay, whatever. If people find that hilarious, good on them. But this is one of those sins where you just point out things that are happening on the screen and say, oh, that's a sin. Dang. You remind me of this guy from Pootie Tang.
Whoa, it's hot out here, man. It is hot today.
You know it's hot out.
Yeah, I just said that. I said it's hot out here, man.
Yeah, you know it's hot too.
Yeah, that's why I said it, man. It is hot out here.
I know, I'm just saying it's hot too. Lacey is still getting on JB's nerves. And he's getting on his nerves too.
Dang.
Steve goes to learn about himself before learning about Steve Jobs and Apple.
Go back to the 150 mark to see why I'm sending this bullshit. Oh, and check the upper left-hand corner.
Best friends since childhood. Bucky Barnes and Stephen Rogers were inseparable.
Why the f would this childhood best friend and fellow soldier merit his own wing in the Captain America Museum? I know the movie wants to suddenly make Bucky super important, but that doesn't mean the world would have.
Jesus Christ, you don't pay attention to anything. This is a memorial for the Howling Commandos, the group Bucky was a prominent member of in World War II. That he and Cap were best friends is pretty much a big deal in this sort of exhibit.
The best that we can do is to start over.
Cap just happens to visit his would-have-been girlfriend right before her imminent death.
Peggy Carter is not in imminent danger of death here. She doesn't die for 2, okay, technically 3 whole movies in which at least a year has passed.
Would we think less of this movie if they didn't have holograms talking to Nick Fury?
That is not Nick Fury.
A breach like this raises serious questions. Like
Marvel poaches a secondary villain from the best DC movie ever.
Chin Han wasn't in Batman 1989.
What are you?
I'm Batman.
Even at 193 years old, Robert Redford can still act any of the rest of this movie's stars under the table.
You just send the movie for stating that one of the most decorated actors of all time, and the creator of Sundance, is a great actor.
What the fuck?
But you gotta get Iron Man to stop by my niece's birthday party.
Iron Man 4, niece's birthday party. No wonder Downey didn't want to do it.
Oh hey, let me send the movie for some bullshit that I just made up.
Look who it is. The Running Man.
Arnold Schwarzenegger must have that Benjamin Button condition then.
Jeremy makes 2 pop culture references.
This is help.
Geez, holograms on the car windshield too? That's not only useless, but what I call distracted driving.
There are tons of cars with HUDs these days. And if you're going to say that they're not in the upper left-hand corner, well, here's every Uber driver's phone ever.
These shady military goons brought in a battering ram instead of, say, I don't know, explosives to destroy this car.
This is an armored car built for the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Explosives are not going to do the job.
I'd like to see these guys shoot out the tires for once. Who knows, maybe they skimped on automatic tire inflation technology and you can kill Nick Fury instead of whatever this is.
Ever heard of bulletproof tires? Dude, this truck can fucking fly, and you're seriously suggesting to shoot out the tires.
That seems like a perfectly handy weapon the other bad guys could have used earlier.
Yeah, but not even that blew up the car. Sure, it incapacitated it, but when the guys were trying to break into the car, it wasn't moving anyway.
He brought his lightsaber?
Jeremy makes a pop culture...
Captain America is worldwide famous and has his own wing at the Smithsonian, but no fans or paparazzi are staking out his residence at all. It's probably because they respect his privacy, right?
Or they just don't know where he lives? This man is an agent working for one of the foremost covert agencies in the world, with another agent planted to keep an eye on him. You think people just know where he lives?
Is this the movie's end?
Don't trust anyone.
I bet he means that asshole Walter Donovan from The Last Crusade.
Pop culture reference that is...
Also, other people you shouldn't trust. Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, or any of the other superheroes you would instantly call in this situation if you were a logical human being.
Look, I'll give you Iron Man, even though he's pretty much overkill, but as I've explained earlier, Thor is not even on Earth, and the Hulk? Really? Do I even need to explain why that's dumb?
Jump down, f***er! What the hell are you giving up for? How far could he possibly have gotten in the last 3 seconds?
Pretty damned far, as evidenced by this frame.
You need to take him.
Because he's definitely not dead. I mean, why else would Maria Hill be in this movie? Other than to take Nick Fury to his secret bunker where he can pop out and introduce us to the events of Avengers 2.
Stop with the bullshit. You, of all people, definitely did not know Nick Fury wasn't dead.
I'm confused. I know he's super strong and the shield is basically indestructible, but how is the shield also a boomerang? Is the movie saying he's just so gifted with hand-eye coordination that he always throws it perfectly so it careens back to him?
Yes.
If someone tweets about this guy, I want to know about it.
Tweeting.
You were saying?
Captain Rogers has information regarding the death of Director Fury. He refused to share it.
So we tried to kill him, rather than arrest him and interrogate him.
This shows you fundamentally misunderstood this movie. S.H.I.E.L.D. is Hydra. Pierce is utilizing this cutting-edge technique called lying.
How did she know to come back to the hospital and check the vending machine? Nick Fury wasn't there anymore, she left before Cap hid the flash drive, and she's not one of the bad guys. Paranoia only works when the shady action makes sense.
But it does make sense here. Natasha is a Russian spy. Natasha is a Russian spy.
Public displays of affection make people very uncomfortable.
Bad guys don't notice obvious incognito good guys because the power of other people's boners is stronger.
Jeremy says boner.
There's Stark's father.
Howard.
Where the f*** is Roger Sterling, assholes? How are you just going to recast younger Howard Stark and forget all about the badass you had playing the character earlier?
This has got to be the stupidest shit in this whole video. You do realize that this is the second Captain America film, which means there had to have been a first, because that film was an origin story. It must have been set in the past. Let's see who played him in the past, shall we?
Carbon polymer. Should withstand your average German bayonet.
Oh snap. I guess they're using a picture of the young Howard Stark after all. Moron.
Even if her advanced cell phone has an app that can do this, it's still only indicating the 4 most often pressed numbers, not the order they're pressed in. So Natasha instantly pressing them in the correct order is a middle finger, and I'm just going to give you one right back.
Dude, fucking watch what's on the screen. The phone is clearly decoding the keypad, not telling her which numbers are the most often pressed. Where are you even getting that idea from? You're just making shit up.
The new Hydra grew, a beautiful parasite inside S.H.I.E.L.D.
Why is the evil Hydra science guy's brain computer giving up an exposition dump to the movie's heroes?
Zola is stalling.
That's impossible. S.H.I.E.L.D. would have stopped you.
Accidents will happen.
Is that what he's calling Nick Fury's death? Because no investigator would consider hot lead blasting through an apartment wall to be an accident. At least I hope not.
Jeremy has never heard of Crossfire.
Project Insight requires insight. So I wrote an algorithm.
What kind of algorithm?
I don't know, Natasha. Maybe if you let the disembodied brain of Dr. Zola finish, he'd tell you.
How about you let the scene play out? Zola's next line indicates that he never intended to tell them what the algorithm was.
Insight requires insight. So I wrote an algorithm.
What kind of algorithm? What does it do?
The answer to your question is fascinating. Unfortunately, you shall be too dead to hear it.
Also, why fire only one missile? That's Captain America, right? Maybe you should think about overkill in this case.
You later contradict yourself when you say,
they survived this.
So, is he Captain America where the he survives this sin is bullshit? Or is you asking them to fire more than one missile bullshit? Because I'm so confused at this point.
They already cost me Zola.
Actually, you cost you Zola. There was no need to blast the building he was in. You could have easily waited until they got outside for a surprise attack. You could have just gone ahead and used this dude in the first place.
What Pierce was referring to was Bucky failing to kill Fury before he gave Cap the flash drive, leading to a chain of events that led Cap to Zola. Waiting for them to get outside gives them a fighting chance, and that's just not something you want to give to Captain America. Or is firing more than one missile bullshit? Because I'm still confused.
Hey, I met you once while running, and then again at a recovery group meeting, so I automatically know where you live. I mean, shit, did they even exchange full names?
Do you even watch the movie?
But now I'm working down at the VA. Sam Wilson.
Steve Rogers.
I kind of put that together.
When your body careens and tumbles across asphalt like this, you get up with most of your skin gone. But in the movie, he only gets a few scratches, because Falcon.
So you do realize that this was a practical stunt done by a real stunt person, right? And I'm fairly certain this guy's skin isn't gone, so this is some bullshit.
Okay, so Natasha is running underneath a 4-lane bridge. She's running. Running. More running. Still running. How fucking wide is this bridge, and how long does it take someone to run underneath it?
Jeremy misunderstands things that are supposed to be taking place at the same time cliché.
Yeah, Cap, that fall must have made you groggy. We've seen you survive worse, no problem, but sure, you go ahead and take a rest now. You deserve it.
A fall? Look what happened to him here.
Man, they're shoehorning as many characters from the first movie as they can into this, aren't they? Next up, DNA strands of Hugo Weaving connected to an oak tree that talks.
This isn't a case of them shoehorning characters from the first film. Bucky in the comics has been the Winter Soldier since 2005, so this is a case of Jeremy doesn't know shit about comics.
Also, surprise, except so not surprised that it makes you wonder why they even bothered to put this reveal so late in the film.
Bullshit. You just complained that they used Sebastian Stan for this character. Now you're stating that you knew the whole time?
Sam swoops in to save Cap because he totally knew where these guys were after being on top of the bridge the whole time.
Discounting the fact that Sam is flying, do you see the bridge right there in this shot? Think about it.
Who's this guy?
He's the future new Captain America. Duh. Well, at least his character is. They'll probably replace the actor with Don Cheadle.
I don't really care about the corny joke you just made, but I'm sending you for the fact that you did some research to find out Sam becomes Captain America in the comics, but you refuse to do this same research for literally anything else, especially comics.
I promise this is the first time I've seen this movie. Unfortunately for this movie, I've seen lots of other movies.
You did not know Fury wasn't dead.
They cut you open, your heart stopped.
Tetrodotoxin B.
Hey, that's the same bullshit toxin Liam Neeson used in the A-Team. I'm pretty sure it doesn't have that convenient use, but at least it sounds good, doesn't it?
First of all, tetrodotoxin is a real neurotoxin. In the film, the B version was developed by Bruce Banner, hence the B, to keep his heart rate low in order to prevent him from becoming the Hulk. But what's this? Are you applying real-life science to science fiction films? What happened to the books don't fucking matter, because real science is published in scientific journals, and the last time I checked, journals are books.
Got him! Got him!
Sergeant Barnes.
Yeah, about that. Remember in the first Captain America when they were on the train? Well, Dr. Zola was also on that train. And they caught him, not long after Bucky's fall, and they took him to an interrogation room where Tommy Lee Jones ate steak in front of him. He definitely wasn't there for Bucky's Winter Soldier surgery.
You are so wrong, it hurts. Zola basically told you about the US recruiting former German scientists in Operation Paperclip, and from there, Hydra began to spread again, with Zola directly continuing his experiments on Bucky. Pay attention.
Also, seriously, the only reason Fury isn't calling Iron Man right now is because Robert Downey Jr. is too damn expensive. So thanks, Marvel, for giving us this massive cinematic universe that only makes sense during the Avengers films.
Actually, the real reason Fury can't call Tony Stark right now is because S.H.I.E.L.D. has been compromised, and Fury no longer has access.
Wow. Thanks, Stan. You finally proved useful for once.
Thanks, Birdman. Now, about the T-Rex running in your Jurassic World video.
Oh, man. I am so fired.
I wish.
Hating on Stan Lee, Marvel's father and the sweetest of hearts.
Also, why did Cap need to steal this museum suit? When he escaped S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters, he had the suit on. And the next time we see him is in the hospital wearing civvies. So obviously he hid the current suit somewhere and should be able to get it back. Instead, movie has him steal one because f***ing Stan Lee.
Because this is Captain America, and that ain't the Captain America suit. That's the garbage Steve Rogers suit that nobody asked for.
Things, gymnastics, dodging.
Jeremy points out things that are happening on the screen cliche.
I was just about to give this movie some sin points back for having this surprise badass older lady destroying all these dudes, but then this Mission Impossible shit happens and, well, I'm suddenly thrust back into the Brain-Dead Academy School of Arts.
Oh, stop it. You would have sent the movie for the grandma kicking ass ex machina.
State-of-the-art next-generation helicarriers are hella bad at aiming.
I take it you've never fired a weapon. It's hard enough hitting stationary targets, but ones flying overhead and as intelligent and small as a human is damn near impossible.
Well, even if one of those one-at-a-time dudes had fired their guns, this whole thing would be over. Bam. Evil wins.
Hey, Jer. I know you're damn near clinically blind, but do you see this giant circular device on his left arm? And do you remember this scene? Yeah.
Disabling the encryption is an executive order. It takes 2 Alpha-level members.
Don't worry. Company's coming.
On cue, explanatory helicopter lands just outside right as she says this.
Jeremy points out things that are happening on the screen ex machina.
What the f*** is going on? Fury has a separate security clearance for his f***ed up eyeball? How would it be connected in the system to his identity but not noticed by Pierce when he was wiping former Director Fury's security clearance?
I know you don't know shit about comics, but this is Nick Fury. This guy has contingency plans that would make Batman say, nice.
As you can see, the US military, DC police, firefighters, and so on have jumped all over this crisis in downtown Washington.
Honestly, I'm not even sure what you're trying to imply here. There is no way for you to tell in this scene that there is no emergency response. In fact, if you look closely, there appears to be a few helicopters in the area, but I wouldn't expect you to be paying attention.
It's a trick, Steve. It's 70 more years into the future. That guy you think is Sam is wearing one of those things Natasha wore a minute ago to pretend that he's Sam.
This is one of those sins that Jeremy uses to pad the sin count. There's like 20 of these in this video, so guess how many sins we're adding for that? That's right.
Haha, Pulp Fiction reference. He'll probably strike down upon thee with great Die Hard with a vengeance and Nick Furious anger, am I right?
Jeremy sins the movie for doing something he does in every single Sins video. A pop culture reference.
Masturbatory fanboy evil weapon technology that half the audience will have to Google to learn about.
Half the audience will not have to Google anything because they'd already know that this was Loki's scepter from the Avengers. You would know this if you didn't only do a 3-minute video on the Avengers, but hey, that was when we all took you seriously.
Elizabeth Olsen isn't my girlfriend in this mid-credit sequence.
Cringe.
My anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun.